Alright, thank you for joining us here at Plastic Beer. My name is Gunnar, and today we're going to be talking about Star Wars today, and I got my whole crew with me and a special guest to my right.
Hey, how's it going? It's Thomas. It's Esty.
That's our special guest right there.
This is Kayla.
Once again, it is the Brandon.
This is Andrew.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. That's poetic, Andrew.
It was beautiful.
You know what? That was about as stunning...
Well, Wicker threw me off.
You should write speeches.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. So, I know last week, 2 weeks ago, we talked about our topic was going to be Star Wars. If I could English today.
You can't English at all.
I can't. I really can't. So we were talking about how our topic was going to be Star Wars. Now, we actually went out of our way because I had not seen Rogue One. Wow, I can't English. I had not seen Rogue One yet.
You a tongue-tied motherfucker.
Yeah, right?
Speak right.
I had not seen Rogue One yet. And so we actually went out of our way to go see that movie, and I actually enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it because of the fact that it tied in. It kind of put a full circle to everything else. And people fucking died.
Everybody died.
Everybody died. It was great.
Or did they, according to...
Shut the fuck up, Andrew.
Some people online.
We should probably preface this that the spoilers.
Yeah.
So if you have not seen Rogue One, just don't listen to this.
Stop
just
now.
do it. Just watch
rewind.
it. Great.
Sorry about that, everybody.
Well, we fucking spoiled it already.
Just rewind your entire life. You'll be fine.
As much as that movie grossed, I don't know who hasn't seen it yet, but I'm sure there's some stragglers.
I'll give you a straggler.
Brandon.
Yes.
Is that anything like a stranger?
Oh, you best believe
Son
it.
of a bitch. I knew this was coming.
You said on both hands, and then you dip them in the ice.
This is why I'm behind on edits.
So this was Plastic Beer. Thank you very much. You all have a great day.
So basically, I'm going to go balls deep on this one. My take on Star Wars... Shut the fuck up, Brandon. Damn it.
You were pushing at it, though. Your own damn
Well, if you're balls deep, you should be pushing at it.
Maximum effort style, right?
So, going into it, Star Wars for me has always been a huge, I guess you could say, role model of my personality. Because I've always loved Star Wars. I've always wanted to see more happen with Star Wars and everything else. And my personal take on Star Wars is it is a huge fucking family feud between the Skywalker family. So they have invoked 3 different wars. They've destroyed, I believe, 6 planets, maybe 8. And they ruined the Jedi.
Yeah.
They ruined the Sith.
Yeah.
As hard as that is to do, because there's normally only 2 of them. And it's just the Skywalker family being introduced to that whole world of Star Wars, that whole universe of Star Wars, just fucked everything up. Like, I feel like if they did not get introduced and, you know, Yoda stepped up to the plate with like, let's just kill the little bastard.
Yeah.
None of that shit would have happened. I don't feel like any of that shit would have happened. Maybe would not have happened because they did have plans and motions. Or if Yoda stepped up to the plate and said, train him, I think we'll do good.
Fuck.
I think that would have maybe changed the whole damn dynamic.
It probably would have.
But to say nothing of the least, the Star Wars universe has solely been based off of the Skywalker family or lineages of thereof. And I mean, if you haven't read books about Star Wars, if you haven't seen any of the sideshows or anything like that, besides the actual movies, the main blockbusters, if you will, it's got a huge, diverse universe. Even the comics stray away from a lot of the cartoons, the shows, or the books. And, yeah, it gets nuts. I think Rogue One was probably one of the only main blockbuster movies which didn't make a main pivotal role around the Skywalker family. It was about getting, again, this is a spoiler, not really, but getting the plans to the Death Star.
With a lot of emphasis around, I still think Rogue One did have a lot around the Skywalker family, of course, with Kylo Ren and their beef with Rey. What's their last names?
That wasn't even in Rogue One. Kylo Ren wasn't even a fucking thought.
You're talking about episode 8
I'm sorry,
now.
I'm thinking of
Seven.
Force Awakens.
That's episode 7.
Yes,
Yes,
you are.
okay.
Oh, sorry.
But it all plays... Okay, so I do agree that I do appreciate the outside world of just kind of seeing the perspective of what led to stealing the Death Star plans and things like that. I really like that They expanded on that universe. I enjoyed the movie. Just my full review of it. I think I appreciated the movie for what it was. I didn't think I would like them stepping outside of the Star Wars normal world of the Skywalkers and the Kenobis and all that thing and all that stuff, but I really like the perspective of it and what led up to it, and I always wondered how it worked out, because I'm not going to lie, I'm not an aficionado of the comics or the animated series or anything like that, but I know a lot of it plays into it, and I think Star Wars does a good job of making sure that happens. Forrest Whitaker's character, of course, was from the animated series, and so it seems like they're starting to integrate the whole universe and trying to make it a little bit more linear. And I appreciate that they're doing that. It's kind of like the Marvel universe in a way, to where they're just implementing all these different characters that you might not experience unless you show that side of the Star Wars universe. The fact they killed everyone was a trip. I really thought it added to the drama of that movie, and I actually enjoyed it. And I know there's a lot of mixed reviews on the movie itself, but I overall appreciated the movie. And I think there might be some different opinions here, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it. What's your guys' overview on it?
Estes, yes, give us what you got here.
The professionals here.
Oh, I don't know if I'm a professional, but Rogue One, to me, I loved it just because it was Star Wars. Like, don't get me wrong, it was a good movie. It was great action, comedy, buddy cop movie. It was great. Anyway, what I didn't like was that it was a movie about a convenient plot point filled with convenient plot points. So as far as like cinematic adventure, as far as an actual movie goes, I think it was lacking in a lot of core strength as far as character goes.
Like what spontaneous?
No, go ahead.
Like spontaneous action. You know, obviously, with a lot of the movies that we see, of course, we see it kind of linear, laid out. We know what's going to happen. Of course, they're going to survive this gun battle. They're going to survive this attack by the Imperial forces or whatever. So, is it like lacking surprise? Or?
No, I think what he's trying to get at is, instead of seeing Episode 8, like the legitimate Episode 8 movie that was supposed to come out with the continuation of Kylo Ren,
right?
And that whole thing, Snoke trying to find out who the fuck that guy is,
right?
We got a subsidiary movie which was done great, but it was for something we kind of already know about, even for people who have, even for people who have not read the comics, read anything on Wikipedia, or watched the Clone Wars or anything like that. They kind of know the plans were stolen,
right,
for the Death Star.
Yeah.
So it was, as SD said, a convenient plot point to make a lot of money off of. Honestly, that movie made a lot of goddamn money.
What did?
I know.
Business-wise, I don't blame, because I probably would have done the same thing. Shit.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I definitely thought there was a lot of merit in having a film there. What I didn't think was necessary, like the exhaust port was put there as a flaw. Didn't necessarily, that plot point didn't actually need to be there. It could have been just something cool that the architects that they had on the Rebels side, picked out once they got the plans to the Death Star, that they figured out themselves. Okay. So coming up with a family and this whole conspiracy to actually, it wasn't necessary. What everybody wanted was that kind of war element movie of, let's go attack the Empire and try to get these plans. We didn't need to go into all this backstory for characters that weren't going to live anyway. So
essentially you're going off of what Galen had done to the Death Star. He had immersed himself in the work of building the Death Star and its architectural design, and in involving that one exhaust port that could bring down the whole Trojan horse.
Right.
So that was a convenient plot point for you.
Oh yeah.
Just don't remember exactly where that went with that. But when I saw the movie, it might have been coincidence. But when I watched Rogue One and they were like, it's Galen, I was just like, oh shit, Star Killer bitches, yeah. And no, that was not what happened. It was just some Empire,
some old dude,
old dude from the Empire,
fucking scientist.
No, something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, aside from that, if you haven't ever seen the cartoons or anything, there's a lot of fan service there as well. I know for the Clone Wars, for me, that was a huge... I think this is why, for me personally, I believe that the movie Rogue One should not have been made. Because they already gave emphasis into the Star Walker family. I have a personal vendetta with the Star Walker family.
Skywalker?
Star Walker. God damn it.
Yeah, you're making a knockoff version of Star Wars now.
Do you English well with the
I
Star
don't
Wars?
English well lately at all. I can't even write
Lucas
my
Star
English.
Walker at the Dollar Tree.
He doesn't know
that
English
would be
like
great.
me and you.
Yeah.
Imagine, no, seriously,
He's
you know what? I bet
restricted
you
to
$5
I-
to
Doesn't
everyone
have
here
Doesn't
that
have
the
big
Chinese have made a knockoff movie of Star Wars called Star Walker.
Fuck.
I bet.
I mean, look at Gamera.
I'll give you a camera.
So what I think, I think the movie kind of did play a role in defining a lot of things that could subsequently be in the future movies.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things is who does Rey really belong to? As far as whose child is he? And a lot of it
Who
appears
the
that there's
fuck is Snoke? That's what I want to know. That's
Yeah.
what I
well,
really
Snoke
wanna
is
know.
pretty much the ultimate being, and pretty much is a wise man of the Force, and a being that could pretty much sense very powerfully other Jedis, and he's just been around for a very long time, is the way I understand it. But
Right.
I know they need to do a lot more definition because they pretty much rarely touch on him. Well, in small scenes, basically. When
I'm sure I would rarely touch on him. I would not touch him unless someone paid me to touch that man. You see his face?
Gosh damn it.
Did you
he
see his
sits
face?
on his throne in his room and he gives orders.
You
He's
better
an
not
awesome
give me
guy.
an order to touch you. I'll
He's
fight.
sitting on a
Slash my
toilet
ass.
giving
Fuck that.
orders. I was like, hold on.
But I think
Flush.
if you do listen to some of the fan theories, a lot of people tend to think that Rey is going to basically be one of the ultimate villains in the Star Wars universe and subsequent movies.
I have read that.
And it seems like they intentionally misled a lot of folks to think that she's Luke Skywalker's daughter, but
I
there's a
think
lot
that's
of
Ben
evidence.
Ben Kenobi's.
No. Well, there's a lot of evidence that kind of suggests that I'm convinced of that she's Palpatine's daughter.
What?
Yeah, and so there's quite a few things like within the movie, and I think this might be what Rogue One did was lead to an interesting plot that's going to be down the line in other movies. What I'm basically saying,
Right.
but the point is there's a lot of things a lot of comparisons that are saying that. She has a lot of evil within her, and there was, the dark side of the Force that was basically calling her throughout the movie, as far as kill him when they wanted to kill Kylo Ren, or who was she? Yeah, she was dueling with him. Yeah. So basically, another thing is the fact that they pointed out her fighting style is very similar to Senator Palpatine's, or Palpatine's. What they kind of pointed out was that spear. Chuck that they do with their lightsaber, and a lot of her moves kind of mimic Palpatine's moves, and the fact that
Talking about the saber toss?
well, no, it's the spearing move. It kind of puts a comparison, but basically their fighting styles are very much the same, where they kind of jab. They're saying that she mimics a lot of the style there. She has a lot of evil within her, and it's shown throughout the movie as far as when she was fighting Kylo Ren, I believe she was. Yeah. And basically, when she knocked him down, had this kind of stepping over him and had a really intentional look when she's fighting him and everything like that, and it's showing this evil side of her. And the fact that there's voices that the fans tend to think it's Palpatine's voice that is calling out to her. Another point that they called out is that Luke has the ability to speak to his sister and also his father, and vice versa. And throughout the movies, they show that Darth Vader would reach out to him, and also he can speak to Leia as well. But he never spoke to Rey, and therefore
I wouldn't want to
never
speak
showed
to
that
any one of
link.
my illegitimate children either. That's stake and claim where claim shouldn't be staked.
And also the point is that the look at the very end when she's handing him the lightsaber, and
Nigga, take your shit.
well, she's
It does look like
Palpatine's
that.
granddaughter. I meant to say, so let me correct myself.
So no, the
Palpatine's
look, I
granddaughter.
have to get there. The look she gives Luke when she's handing the saber over is, I trekked all this way for your old ass right here. You better take this.
But Luke's face, when she's looking at him toward the end of the movie, is he has experience with her and he knows her from something. And so his face turning around at the end had this, if you can look at the picture at the end, it has a look of experience and a little bit of dread and the understanding that he's going to have to train somebody that can potentially be somebody on the dark side that's going to turn against everyone in the end. And so that's one of the biggest fan theories, and I think that's one of the biggest plots in the movie that can reveal itself in subsequent movies as far as who is her actual parents. Because even J.J. Abrams spoke and said her parents are not in an episode in the movie. And so it kind of lends to that mystery of who she actually belongs
if he's
to.
saying that the parents weren't, or are you speaking off of that particular movie or the movie series itself?
Well, the whole thing, because of the fact that
well, then
there's
it can't be Palpatine.
No, well, it could be. It very much could be. But it seems like Star Wars is also bringing in the animated, because it's from the animated side of things, bringing in animated characters over to the Star Wars world. And so it seems like, basically, as confusing as I probably sound, that they're going to be tying this all together and reveal who Rey's parents actually are.
Well, no, that much I can't agree on. I do feel like the Star Wars universe and the movie series itself is a lot of the directors or anything like that, screenwriters or screenplays, they're actually trying to tie in a lot of the universe, like tie up all the loose ends that have been questioned with a lot of the forums or the fan bases or anything like that. Like, oh, are you guys going to do this? Oh, you guys should do this. Or what happens with these people? You know, I feel like a lot of the directors or anything like that are trying to move forward with getting those tied in and tying, like they did with Rogue One, and pretty much getting it into full circle there. I do feel that if they finish, or like if they stop where Rey hands over the saber to Luke, and if that's where they stop everything and decide to go with a whole another universe of Star Wars, whether it's extremely far back in the past, and we're talking like Bane that far back, the further future where we're already past, you know, Darth Cassius or anything like that, or Cassidy, sorry. But I don't feel like that would work. I don't necessarily know exactly how that can go, because Luke already looks too old to have fathered anybody or have met Mara, who is his wife in the books.
Mara Jade.
Yes, Mara Jade.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if they're trying to go forward with something else entirely. So what I would like to see, though, like they did with Rogue One, is to stray a little further away from the Jedi and Sith Wars altogether and move towards the Star Wars universe, like they did with the I believe episode 1 is what I want to say. Yeah, it's episode 1 where they did the embargo.
Yes.
On
Trade Federation.
Yeah, the Trade Federation did the embargo on
Naboo.
Emperor. Ugh, can't English at all.
Technically, it was a Counselor Palpatine at the time.
Right. No, I think it was Chairman. Whatever. We all know what I'm trying to say. Palpatine had a play in that as being a Sith that was trying to do the puppet operation and whatnot.
He was the puppet master and all that.
But they did the embargo. But they didn't really explain what the embargo was about, what they were doing it for, except for that 5-minute fucking segment. But that was all tossed to Qui-Gon Jinn and Ben Kenobi being an apprentice at that time,
Right.
and not a full-on knight. And that's where that let off.
Yeah.
But they didn't explain the embargo as to what that was for. And in the books, the embargo was about the Trade Federation trying to gain foothold in the Galactic Senate and whatnot.
Yeah.
And all that. So, I mean, in the Star Wars universe, we're talking about in the Galactic Senate that oversees thousands of different worlds. And the Trade Federation is its own empire, so to speak, but it doesn't have any sovereignty on as many worlds as the Galactic Federation, the Galactic Senate.
Right.
And so I would like to see that, touched up on more, because there's a lot going on with that. Like, I mean, we've heard Han Solo, thank you.
Right.
Almost forgot the name. We've heard Han Solo, talk about the Kessel Run. I mean, some people may know what the Kessel Run is, but the majority of people do not.
Right.
I'd like to see that touched upon, or the Smuggler's Trade, the Dark Sun Syndicate, or Black Sun Syndicate, sorry. Jabba the Hutt, he has his own fucking world going on with the bounty hunters and everything, or the Mandalorians. I'd love to see more on that.
Exactly. I'd love to see more on the whole simple fact of Mandalore. Because with obviously, if you all have played Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, you're going to come across Mandalore, or you're going to come across the Mandalorians, and one of the things in Knights of the Old Republic 2. You come across the guy who's trying to become Mandalore of the Mandalorians. So I'd love to see more of that aspect. Of course, you can go way back to that point of the Knights of the Old Republic. You can read about it in the books that great series. There's quite a few books out there. But yeah, that would be something that would be great to touch upon, especially Boba Fett's backstory. Of course, we know that he was the clone of Jango Fett, an altered clone, and let's give some more backstory to Jango. Let's give more backstory to Bobo. Those are two key Mandalorian characters that's in the Star Wars universe. But I guess the point for my spiel is I'd like to see more of the Mandalorian culture, come rise in the whole thing of the Star Wars universe.
And I definitely agree with that myself. Another thing I'd like to see more of is like the technology of that universe. So we know there's cruisers, there's destroyers, there's full-on planet killers.
Right.
Like most people may not know of this, but there was something called the Forge. I believe, Estes, if you can correct me on this, was the Forge a Sith created or was it an artifact from the precursors?
It's an artifact.
Okay, so that particular, I guess you could say, installation or construction or whatever it's called, but it's a big ass ship, so to speak, and this thing could 3D copy drones or whatever you want to call it, and mass produce them on a huge scale by sucking the energy out of stars.
Right, and it can make a whole entire army. It can make a whole entire fleet. It can make a massive amount of everything. If you programmed it into the system, it would make it for you. You could have armor, you can have tanks, you can have whatever the fuck you want. You can have an endless amount of fucking lightsabers if you want, because it's being created from the fucking Force.
Right, and that's basically what I'm trying to get at. Is you and I know what that is.
Yeah.
We read the books. Estes has already told us beforehand that he's gone on Wikipedia several times. By the way, everybody, if you don't know what Wikipedia is, it's Wookie and then pedia without the E of Wookie in it. Go on there, you can learn all kinds of things Star Wars related. It has so much information. It is a database on Star Wars by itself. But no, what I would like to see a lot of directors or screenwriters do in the future with making Star Wars, or even cartoons or animated series, is divulge more into that, like they did with the Clone Wars and Skywalker. Jesus,
Stop saying that.
I can't fucking help it. God damn it! You know what,
He's just gonna start
Skywalker?
saying Star-Lord.
Star-Lord.
Yes,
Wrong fucking guy. Whole different universe, but yes,
but Disney owns both.
this is true. We could see worlds collide. Yes.
So, yeah, go ahead. Sorry. I was going to just make a quick point of, they're probably going to expand on as much as they can in the Star Wars universe, because to take it past the movies, Disney is going to want to maximize their profit with Star Wars. And so we already have Rogue One, where they stepped outside of the normal focus and gave a backstory. And so they're definitely going to make additional movies out around certain characters that,
Oh, def.
yeah.
And I think where I feel like the failure happens is when they include Sith and Jedi into the stories, or when they exclude them. Like what they did with the Rogue One, Vader was the only real Jedi,
Right.
Force wielder in that movie. Aside from
The monk.
yes, aside from the monk and the main character, I forget her name.
Jen.
Or Jen?
Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Because she has a kyber crystal.
Yeah.
And it may not be common knowledge, but that was used to make the sabers. Mm-hmm. And I would really love if they do divulge into that and go one specific route. I'd really love to see a Sith and Jedi battle happen. Like Jedi Temple, full blown trainees, all of it going. It's prospering, and then the Sith have their own kind of thing going on, and then a fucking battle happens. Just bam. That shit would be badass. I'd find that just fucking. I'd jizz myself. I would. I'd go in that theater. I would sound like Suzanne. Exactly like Suzanne.
Gunnar was half-mast through the whole movie. I was
quarter chubbing it.
Awkward.
I was quarter chubbing it.
That's good. That's good stuff.
Do you think so?
Yeah,
There you go.
that is.
Yeah, one supporter of my quarter chub.
You should pitch a tent. in the Star
So
Wars.
I know there's been talks about making a Han Solo or young Han Solo movie, and I really want to see that, and I hope they go with, his backstory of how he met Chewie, and I'll let Esty explain that story.
Oh, wow. Okay. So ultimately, my favorite story is just back in the day, Chewie's meandering through the halls and stuff, getting escorted by stormtroopers, and there's Han finally deciding to take a stand against something, and they both help each other out. One saves the other. But yeah, they come together and they decide to go off and start their whole cargo ring and go out and... Yeah, I don't know. I did such a bad job of explaining that, but it's also my favorite story. Can you?
That was a terrible job, actually.
So where exactly were they, and why was Han there?
Oh wow, I don't remember that. You're putting a lot of pressure on me, Thomas.
Just breathe, Esty. Just breathe. No one's actually looking at you or watching you. You're just with friends drinking a beer.
They're going to post your face everywhere, all of your contact information. If you give any wrong information, contact this guy.
Yes.
So
as I remember, Esty was explaining to me that Han was originally in the academy to become a pilot for the Imperial fleet, but then he saw Chewie being escorted and decided to take a stance because he had a feeling that the path he was on was not the right one, basically.
Right. Now, one thing that I'd like to touch on is how Chewie and Han ended up on a Star Destroyer that was infested with zombies. That was Death Troopers was a great book. If you haven't read it, go to Amazon, find it, read it. You'll love it.
Or just buy the ebook because it's out.
Yeah, buy the ebook. It's fucking great. But pretty much with this one, it touches on a different aspect of the Star Wars universe. What we all love is zombies.
So let me just cut in real quick.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Sith have always looked for a way to prolong their life. It's always been a pursuit of knowledge and a pursuit of power and a pursuit of immortality. A lot of Sith choose immortality. A lot of Sith choose a pursuit of power. Very rarely do some choose pursuit of knowledge, only because it doesn't really benefit too much to them in the short run. But most go for the pursuit of immortality. And in this particular book, it's a particular Sith that was pursuing the pursuit of immortality. Go ahead.
Well, you're thinking of the other book. It's actually before Darth Vader and shit.
No, I'm not talking about that. The Death Troopers were a byproduct of that, though.
Right. No, that is a byproduct of it. But with Death Troopers, pretty much what it is the Imperial, scientists led by Vader trying to find a, like Gunnar expressed, the whole thing of the Holy Grail with trying to prolong the life, doing what Darth Sidious had promised to Anakin. Oh, I'll be able to bring your mother back to life. Just come over to the dark side. And, okay, so Anakin, Darth Vader, starts this program and...
Star Walker.
Give you a Star Walker. So, pretty much, you really don't know how Han Solo or Chewbacca end up on this thing, but they end up becoming the hero protagonists of the group. And it starts off with... pretty much two brothers as prisoners on this vessel, and they come across a Star Destroyer. The prison ship links with the Star Destroyer for some fucking reason, and that's when all the fucking chaos starts happening. Fucking dead stormtroopers coming on board, fucking wreaking havoc, fucking killing everything, turning everybody into zombies and shits like that. People getting rushed to the fucking infirmary. Bitten, whatever, fucking just chaos. It's great. It's a really good book. But
sounds like a horrible time to try to get it on.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like the reverse effect of Maximum Effort.
It really does.
Yeah.
I can imagine. I swear to you guys, if I ever run into a zombie apocalypse, I'm gonna try humping as much as I can before I die. But in that one particular situation, I might not try.
Looking like the mattress on top of that van skateboard.
One of the 3 horror film rules to not have sex because you'll die.
Yeah. But you know what? There's like a 10% chance, maybe less than that you're actually going to survive. So I'm going to take my chances with getting as much out of it as I can before I die. So I'm going to have sex. I may actually do drugs for the first time. And I will try to shoot as many or, I don't know, knife them, whatever weapon I have in my hand, bludgeon them before I go down.
Have you never done a drug?
in high school, I did cocaine twice ever. Didn't even work out.
It's one hell of a drug.
No, it fucking plugged my nose. I couldn't breathe, and I tasted funny.
Sinuses.
Then it must have been
Bunk.
No,
It was
baking
aspirin.
powder.
It was what?
It was baking powder.
No, because
Yeah,
I
it
didn't
was.
get that. I got
You
that
sniffed
nasty.
it caked up in your nose and expanded.
They were pixie sticks.
They were-
It's pixie sticks. It
Yeah.
burned my brain at first, but whatever.
No, it was
And then I did.
in a genuine Ziploc bag. It was fine.
Yeah, it was in a genuine Ziploc bag. It was tied up at the end. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
You made
And then I did marijuana, and then I stopped after I had kids.
I don't never want to smoke again since you just made it sound like that.
Marijuana.
Yeah.
You don't want no
Yeah,
marijuana?
you took all the fun out of it just by saying it.
Yeah, it's gonna be the drug of choice. You know what? No, I'm dead serious. Actually, if I ever ran into let's just hypothetically speak, and I want everyone to give me an answer too. You ran into a situation like that. You're on that ship, and you got death troopers running at you crazy, about to bite the shit out of you. What are you gonna do? I am gonna find the first bag of blow.
Shit my pants.
You're gonna
shit
get
my
eaten
pants.
while you're looking for a bag of blow on giant shit.
Yes.
I'm gonna find the first bag of blow, and I'm gonna hump something.
Everybody's running
You're
for
gonna
escape
stash
pods.
cocaine on the perch.
He's gonna go to the fucking vessel hold and
I
look
was
for
the only one that
contraband.
didn't survive. What was he doing? Oh, he's looking for drugs.
Looking for
He
drugs.
didn't even get any. I don't know what he thought there was on this ship.
This is your guys.
All the dealers bailed, and he's just running around. Where are they?
Exactly.
All they're gonna find is an arm reaching for a cabinet.
Secret option B, they come back later. He's all caked out in fucking coke. And they killed everything on that ship with his bare hands.
And ate all the
You guys
snacks.
ain't gonna believe what happened. I'm having a bad fucking trip right now, man. You don't even know, man. I'm gonna see his dick,
But I will
people.
suck your dick for more.
I will suck your dick right now. Give me some blow. I'm like, I can't come down, man. It's bad, man.
Is that the elixir right there? Yeah, it is.
Oh, he was sucking zombie stormtroopers.
Oh.
Getting the goo out of that shit. Long
They were
John
quarter
style.
chubbing. They were quarter chubbing, so it's okay.
That's okay.
It wasn't full on erection. It was quarter chub.
No.
It isn't awkward at that point.
One of them.
It's not awkward.
If it's quarter chub, it's not awkward. It's not awkward at that point.
Oh God! Give me a
If
cookie.
you're full on, if you give you a cookie.
Cookie. Andrew love cookie. He eats pink
No,
cookie.
I'm dead serious, guys. I swear to God, if I knew there was an apocalypse happening, I'm not saying if the zombies were right in fucking front of me. I'm running for my life. I'm shitting and running
Well,
at the same time.
if
Just
you're
don't roll the one.
well, right.
Yeah, don't roll a one. If you're a D&D player, you know what that means.
If you're Andrew, you're gonna pull out your nuts and wrap the zombie up in your nuts.
Yes. Sackman.
Sackman.
Will take over.
Yes.
I feel like Andrew would like just kickworm to the first one and booby do the shit out of it.
God.
Don't combine the jokes from other episodes.
No, I
with
am.
One guy.
No, I am.
No, you can't.
I can.
You're not
I
allowed
will.
to.
I am. It's happening. You're mad because
No, no.
because you would actually do that.
So as far as Star Wars, there are several fan theories, and I wanted to see your guys' take on it. As you guys are more intelligent in the Star Wars universe than I am, but I wanted to see your guys' take on it live, just to see what's going on, in your opinion. So one of them, I was reading this article, and I pulled it up again, as far as who killed Luke's parents in the first episode.
Just in general.
Yeah, the first one. Who killed his parents? And one of
Luke?
the fan theories,
You mean-
of course, is...
Are you talking about Luke?
Luke's parents, yes.
So Luke killed his father.
No,
His
I'm sorry.
mother-
His uncle, aunt and uncle, sorry. Apologies.
The Empire did.
His aunt and uncle. So they're saying Boba Fett.
like, I think everybody
Boba
knows
Fett
that one.
killed his aunt and uncle. What do you guys
Could
think
be.
about that?
Could be. You know,
That's a good question. Who wants to... Thomas? You look like you have some thoughts churning.
Yes.
I don't think it would have been Boba Fett because he was a bounty hunter. He was paid to bring the people in. I mean, if it was dead or alive, he wouldn't have left the bodies burning. So I think it had to have been stormtroopers
Well,
because they can't hit shit with their fucking blasters. So let's just set everything ablaze.
Right.
Well, they were
This
saying
sounds
that
true.
Boba Fett, one of his ways to actually kill people was incineration.
Well, yeah,
I
because
thought that
he has a
his aunt and uncle
flamethrower.
was incinerated.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He has that
Well-
incinerator on his arm.
Well, think about it. Boba Fett is a gun for hire. He is a bounty hunter, and yeah, I'm pretty sure he's done some assassination work because that's what bounty hunters do. Because look at episode 2.
I believe that's what assassins do.
No, I know, but look at episode 2. The bounty hunter that Anakin and Ben Kenobi tracked down, that was a bounty hunter / assassin, and that was the changeling. So
Fair.
So that fan theory could be very feasible with the whole simple fact that Boba Fett's a gun for hire, an assassin, a bounty hunter. Yeah, he's gonna bring in, hey, here's a picture. I fucking killed him. There you go. Where's my money? Stewie Griffin style. Where's my money, bitch?
Where's my money, Brian?
God damn it.
Where's my money?
Where's my money? And of course,
You said you'd have my money last week, Brian.
well, you see even in Empire Strikes Back, these guys hire this guy out the fucking ass. They're like, you see him during the whole thing when they're hiding in the trash debris. You see a whole bunch of a line of different bounty hunters. One of them's the android IG-88 that you actually get to destroy in Shadows of the Shadows of the Empire. Good Nintendo 64 game. If you haven't played, get an emulator. Try that shit. It's fucking fun. But you see on the Star Destroyer, you see a lineup of different bounty hunters. One of them is Boba Fett, and you see him again, Cloud City, after they capture fucking Han Solo. They know what they're doing when they hire this guy. He gets the job done.
I can get the job done too. Shit.
Oh, maximum effort stuff.
No. I'm just saying, if you ask me to unplug a toilet, I got you. Know how to work a snake. That sounded terrible.
I bet you know how to work a snake and you know how to work a black mamba.
After all that cocaine.
You best believe after that cocaine, every goddamn plug in that damn ship is clear. I killed the zombies and I went fucking cleaning. Every crackhead does it.
Gosh damn it, I'm not just going to grind my feet.
You ever see a crackhead when they're bored? And they're bored and they know they're not allowed to leave the house at all? Like, you ever seen a crackhead like that? I have, twice in my life. Them motherfuckers will clean everything. Like, there are things that are dusty.
Scrubbing all the gravel.
Yeah, no, for real. Like, you see things that are dusty you didn't know are dusty and it's shiny now.
Like my head.
Shiny. Yeah, like your bald ass head, yes.
Yes.
They are Mr. Clean on crack.
Literally.
Mr. Pick It Upper.
Give you an upper decker.
Can I get a lower decker?
Well, that comes later.
So I know a lot of people that were really upset about, and from Rogue One, just kind of highlight on that, but a lot of people were upset about her being able to learn the Force so quickly.
In Rogue One?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the
Episode
wrong
7.
movie. Yeah, I'm sorry,
Episode
Episode 7.
7.
I keep confusing the two. My fault.
I don't think she really learned much at all.
No, well, the point is that everybody who are really hard Star Wars fans are, the fact that Luke had to train for months and everything like that to do the saber pull, to where you can actually pull it into your hand, and the fact that, and also you can manipulate people like Obi-Wan Kenobi did, and it seemed like she had very little training on this, at least based on the movie. And she was able to manipulate the stormtrooper to let her out of the chair and let her out of the room and so forth. And they don't give a lot of background to that. Now, is that lazy writing, or is it the fact that she possibly could have learned in her childhood? She knew Kylo Ren and knew a lot of folks back in her childhood. Did she learn it before, or were they...
Well, it goes along with one of my favorite fan theories, is that moment where Kylo Ren takes his masks off and you get to see their facial expressions for the first time. I strongly think that Rey recognizes Kylo Ren, and then from that point on, we get this monkey see, monkey do effect of, if you can do that, I can do it too. So I think it really alludes to they grew up training together, if not cousins.
Right.
Oh, all right.
And one more point, because I will forget if I don't, but the fight scene where they actually fought together, Kylo seemed to recognize her from a past. Yeah. And it seems that they know who she is and who she's related to, and they're not really giving that information out. And he's been trying to... he doesn't necessarily want to kill her. He wants to recruit her because he understands what she's capable of.
Well, he actively says he wants to recruit her.
Well, he does. Yeah, he does. But it seems from... because they don't really give the past away about how they grew up or what his
they only give
intentions are.
very little past on Kylo.
Yeah,
right.
And I think that he wants to recruit her, and that's given away, but the fact that he understands who she is.
Yeah. Well, think about it. Rey, she's put on a fucking desolate planet. She's a junker. She sits there and fucking has to scavenge and find shit. If she is Force sensitive, of course she's going to be able to tap into quote unquote the Force through her own methods, and eventually, be able to tap into other aspects of the Force. Now, Luke, being a very substantial pilot, think about it. He's a very substantial pilot. He was able to take down the Death Star without the targeting computer because he was able to tap into the Force. He wasn't necessarily, Force sensitive in the combat aspects. Rey, on the other hand, has probably had to tap into the Force aspects of combat because of her living situation. Luke, being a pilot, he was able to tap into the pilot aspects of his Force capabilities. That's why he was able to, knock down the Womp Rat in his T-16. That's why Rey is able.
That kind of actually alludes to special abilities.
With Rey's background, we don't know what the hell she had to go through, and her already being a Force-sensitive person, she's able to tap into the Force and kind of like meld it, willed it at her will. Kind of like how Luke, melded and wielded the whole thing of him being a really good pilot. Him being able to, fly his speeders, able to fly the T-16. Him able to shoot the bullseye womp rat. But the whole thing is it's their background that we don't necessarily take into consideration with what their Force capabilities can be. So with Luke being that pilot, he could probably fucking beat Han Solo at the fucking Kessel Run. But Han Solo, most likely being a Force-sensitive person himself, was never able to really tap into it like, say, Rey or even Luke or even any other Jedi that eventually will become a Jedi Knight or will become a Jedi Master, because he wasn't, I can't say willing to do the training, he just didn't want to because he's a smuggler. He's a fucking, he's that guy that sits there and goes throughout the galaxy smuggling shit, fucking being the anti-hero hero. But the whole thing is if you play the games, like I'm gonna go back on Knights of the Old Republic, even those characters would draw in Force sensitive, people.
But no, I will go off of that and say that Jedi and Sith both have certain Force wielders that have those special abilities.
Right.
Jedi particularly have those who can communicate with animals. That's usually what Jedi have on their side. They have that communication.
Yeah.
They also have those who can wield the Force physically, by physically manifesting it. Those who can use it in precognition.
Yes.
They do have others who can use multiple objects in synchronization. A lot of that is found in the trials they do as being Padawans and apprentices and whatnot. I know when reading a lot of the books and lore for Jedi in particular, they would try to figure out what particular Padawans and apprentices or those in training, what their abilities were through trials. So when building a lightsaber, that was another trial by itself. If one is able to build a lightsaber quickly and proficiently, that shows that they can wield the Force with several objects all at once easily. Another one is, when they send them out on their own survival trial, out into like the wilderness or whatever, to survive, and they're able to communicate with animals and everything. That's another way they find out they have that ability. Right. And they try to train them to use their special abilities proficiently.
Right.
Now, the Sith have their own special abilities, one of them being battle meditation.
Right.
You would see that in one of the games as well.
Yes, with one of the key characters, Basila.
So, battle meditation is a Sith. I guess you can say it's a Sith exclusive ability.
Right.
So, if you're a Jedi and you defected to Sith, or you were a spy or something like that, you could have possibly learned battle meditation. It wasn't a special ability, more as it's something that you would have to attain to learn. And because anybody in the Sith Empire, no, not the Empire, but anybody in the Sith lore, if you will, can learn battle meditation, but it is something that they have to train for. It's something they have to reach an enlightenment on, because it's not something everybody can do. It is something hard to maintain, and the only time it is really ever used is on large scale wars.
Right.
Because it's a way to see the map that you're waging a war on in a 3D view, know when to move your troops, know when to feel like the tide of battle is moving this way in a positive way, and this one is moving in a negative way that could affect you negatively as being a battle constructor or whatever.
Right.
And strategically speaking, battle meditation was a key role in a lot of wars for Sith precursor related, aside from the movies. We're talking a couple million, maybe not a million, but a couple 100,000, maybe thousands of years before the Skywalker
Millennia.
series. Is it millennia?
I don't know.
It might be.
Yeah.
Just like the birth of the Jedi was samurai, almost.
Pretty much.
Almost. Well, not really. They were warriors, and they used blades, but these blades were made out of...
Vibro steel.
It was something that was rare. I just don't remember what it was called, and it's even rarer now.
Right.
Because it can actually block the attack of a lightsaber.
Right. Oh, I remember you telling me about that.
Yes, I don't remember what it's called. I really don't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
I think it started with a C, if I'm not mistaken. But it was a type of material. It was an ore that they would process to make their blades out of, and then it progressed to using lightsabers because it was more of a deterrent for Jedi, and for Sith it was more of a more efficient weapon. Fast forwarding, then they started building different styles. Chicken is then they started building styles to attack with. So, you have those, I don't remember what they're called either. There's like Vapid, there's Sudao or something like that. But these are lightsaber techniques, lightsaber attack techniques and defensive techniques and evasive techniques and whatnot. And you have a character like Mace Windu who's pretty popular, building his own style, which is Vapid, if I'm not mistaken. And he is a saber master.
Right.
He mastered all 7 styles and can wield a lightsaber proficiently versus somebody who can wield the Force proficiently, that would leave them at a stalemate almost and would have to look for game. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if they do another animated series, I would love to see them go with that. Aside from that, though, with watching Rogue One, I know when I watched it, it was fulfilling for me because I got to see all of that come to full circle.
The techniques?
No. I'm just talking about the movie in general. So watching the movie, it was great for me because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And seeing it all come to full circle was really great because, there was a lot of those, like Estes had said, it's a plot point, it's a convenient plot point, but it was fulfilling, to say none the least. Just like with the Clone Wars animated series, there was that convenient plot point where they explain the light and dark side and the father of it all. You've watched the Clone Wars. You remember that? When we're talking about the All-Father of the Force and then the daughter and the son. The son being the dark side, the daughter being the light side.
And everything had to be in balance.
And right. And there was the fountain of... the fountain of enlightenment.
Fountain of shit? Really?
No, I think it was called the fountain.
I'll give you a fountain of shit. It's called beef stew.
No, it was called I think it was called the Fountain of Enlightenment, and then there was the Tree of Wisdom or something like that. No, maybe it's been a while.
Would you like a tree of wisdom?
The pool of knowledge?
Thank you, the Pool of Knowledge. Did you find it right now?
Yeah.
Can you find the opposite of that? No, it should have been the same thing.
Oh, something of knowledge?
So there was a Pool of Knowledge, and then there was something else. Or I think it's all the same thing actually, because one bathes in it and the other one drinks in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas the father did both to overpower his son and daughter. Because what had initially happened was the son and daughter, they were forbidden to go even close to the fountain or the pool or whatever you want to call it. And both of them had gone. Both of them had gained abilities that could manipulate the Force. And they gained it on a godly level.
Right.
Where they did not have to train for years for this. This was something they gained intuitively. And... they waged a war against each other because they were siblings. They had a sibling rivalry, and it just kept progressing from there.
Throne of Balance?
Throne of Balance? Mm-hmm. No, that's the father.
Yeah, that's what he.
That's what the father sits on because he maintains balance between the son and daughter.
He basically keeps them from fighting.
Yeah, because if they fought, they would tear the very fabric of reality, and that's just how much power they had between each other, also individually. But I did find that as a convenient plot point because I know a lot of people want to know where did the Skywalker lineage even come from?
Well, if you remember at episode 1, the mother says, Anakin's mother says, there was no father. And just, bam. So,
Right, and the Force gave birth to him. That's what a lot of people believe is the Force gave birth. I would like to say my own personal fan theory is because the father and the daughter and the mother, and that is their names, they were very, 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 very far back in the past.
Right.
And they're still alive. They have immortality. What I would like to believe is that because the Force, because everyone knows in the Star Wars universe, knows that the Force is cognizant. It's its own entity, if you will, that maintains its own balance of the universe itself. And my own personal theory is that it gave birth to Anakin because it knew that the daughter and the son were going to wage war against each other again, because the father was already at the ends of his reach.
Font of power, I think you might be talking about, because that's
Font of power and pool of knowledge. There we go. And essentially, what had happened is, after Anakin had kind of molded himself with the war going on and everything, he was drawn to the Nexus, maybe, pretty much where the father imprisons his son and daughter, because he has imprisoned them. He will not let them roam free because he knows if one is roaming free, it would create problems with the balance of the Force.
Yeah.
And Anakin shows up. The father knows that he is the key to maintaining the balance for the future,
right?
Or at least his lineage is, and that's how Skywalker is born. Anakin Skywalker. That's the reason behind his birth. The Force birthing him. That is my personal theory: is to end those two beings and the father having the power over the Force like that, because they had godly fucking power. They really did, and Anakin could barely contend against them as long as there was rules that were set. And there were rules in the Clone Wars. There was a series of trials Anakin had to go through against them, and that the father had set in place against his daughter and his son, so that Anakin may be able to succeed against them. Now, mind you, the son is the one that is dark side related. He pulled from the font of power. The daughter is light side related. She pulled from the pool of knowledge. And it was all orchestrated by the father to have his son and daughter killed. He didn't really want them killed. He wanted the powers pulled out of him so that Anakin could have these powers and maintain that balance as the chosen one.
Right.
The prophecy that states he is the chosen one. Not knowing that his son was the chosen one, Anakin's son, because that's essentially what it falls to, is Luke really did do the feats that the chosen one was prophesied to do in the books and the comics and everything. And essentially what happens is the son, I believe, is killed first, and he is killed with, I think, the dark saber. And this is a saber that is it's a legendary lightsaber to speak of. And then the daughter, I forget how she dies. I don't know if she kills herself or she is killed by Anakin, and then the father kind of just withers away, if you will, kind of just becomes one with the Force to give everything back now that his son and daughter are gone. But that was satisfying for me, because it kind of brought a hole to why Anakin even exists, being the chosen one.
Yeah.
And then he's not the chosen one. His son Luke is. And then, if you've read the books, Luke really did do a lot of feats. He completed a lot of things. That was amazing for me personally, because you're not going to see that in the movies. That's just way too much shit to jam-pack into a movie or a movie series versus the Skywalker drama. For me personally, it was great. So if anyone hasn't seen the Clone Wars, I highly recommend watching it. I know it's a kid series. I know it was meant for kids to watch, but in all reality, it's a great fucking series. It kind of brings a hole to why Skywalker, Anakin at that time, exists, and the trials he's had to go through with maintaining his own Padawan, being a master himself, and trying to prove to Obi-Wan that he can be a Grand Master. He can be one to sit on the council.
But with the whole aspect of Anakin, being eventually part of the council, not necessarily a master, they didn't want him to be a master because they knew that the guy was going to be fucking evil, because he has that fucking deep seed, in him. That's why when Yoda was trying to train Luke, he had to confront him through the Force knowledge, and you're going to have to go face yourself. But you don't know that it's yourself, that you're portraying yourself as Darth Vader. Of course, him not knowing that Darth Vader is his father, he's going to imagine himself as the internal evil. And of course, when he goes into the whole fucking swamp cave, comes out, and after he kind of like
Let's
killed
not
him.
bring up that whole subject at all. Every time that one part is brought up, I'm thinking of Yoda pounding at Luke's ass.
Watch that YouTube video.
The swamp cave.
It's
So what
swamp.
did you do in Dagobah?
Oh,
Fucking Yoda just going nuts.
going nuts. He's like,
It's the Catholic Church of
come here, altar
Jedi
boy.
teaching.
Jedi teaching right there.
You want some holy water?
Giant
Here it
controversy
comes from
coming out of
Yoda.
Jedi Academy.
Me got holy water for you, Luke.
That's terrible.
One thing I definitely appreciated about the Clone Wars animated series was the little snippets here and there of showing how dark Anakin could be at times.
Oh yeah.
Especially, there was like an episode where they introduced Obi-Wan's love interest on Mandalore, and they went through this whole thing. And she was about to get assassinated, and when the assassin was about to get away, the assassin gave Obi-Wan a choice. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to kill me in front of your peaceful girlfriend? And then that's when Anakin's lightsaber sticks through his back and out of his chest, and he just falls over and dies. And Obi-Wan looks at Anakin like, "What the fuck, bro?" And Anakin's like, "What? He was going to get away," and then like walks off.
And not to change the subject, but I want to transfer that over to how Rey basically was, and how I think that they're kind of setting her up to be the next enemy. Is she kind of displays those same kind of evil characteristics when that example when she picks up the blaster and starts blasting the stormtroopers, and she almost seems to actually enjoy it. She gets into this like aggressive mode and everything like that, and they're showing the evil side as they kind of showed with Anakin in a way, as far as giving some indications that she could potentially have that side to her, just like Anakin did, to where they're training him to be a Jedi for the most part, and he does things like go off and just wipes out the sand people, village, and things like that, and so they seem to have that internal anger in them.
Well, that is something the Jedi do run into. This is why Grandmasters, when taking on a pupil, like kind of, if you will, refine that shit out of them. Being a Jedi means giving up a lot of things most people would never be okay with giving up.
Yeah.
Sex being one of them. Social status being one of them. Normal everyday things we find comfort in, they have to give up. They need to be almost on a moral compass level, perfect. Mm-hmm. They are peacekeepers of the universe, and that is it. They keep peace for peace's sake and for the Force's balance, and that is it.
Right.
Which is why, in the very beginning, Yoda was very reluctant to take on Anakin because he had already had a very dark past, and that would leave a mark on his heart. And being trained would give him the power to exact his revenge. That's what Yoda was afraid of. He's like, he's going to be someone dark. If we train him and we give him these abilities, he's going to hold on to that.
Yeah.
Versus, we can train them and try to get this out of him, get him to understand, this is in the past now, and you can't hold on to these feelings if you're going to be a Jedi.
Right, and that kind of goes back to that point.
Exactly.
I think that's what Luke feels about Rey in the end of the movie.
Exactly, and that's what Jedi will run into every time. This is why being a Sith is so easy. This is why Bane made the rule of 2, because too many Sith were so power hungry, so willing to kill their best friend, their lover, their brother, their sister, their daughter, their whatever it was. They were so willing to do it because it was in the pursuit of power, and that's a lot of the reason Bane made the rule of 2. Because there could only be 2 Sith at one point, the Master and the Pupil. And if there were more than that, there was an imbalance on the dark side because there was too much going on at that point. Mm-hmm. They would never let the Sith reign supreme because there was just too many people fighting for supremacy. Versus the Jedi, they're trying not to fight for supremacy, they're trying to fight their internal turmoil. Mm-hmm. And, I do see that with Rey. I think any Jedi has that problem unless they're born into the Jedi Temple and learn from birth not to have those feelings.
And I believe it's, I don't know, I think it's from the novels where they basically had a quote where they say it's a lot easier to join the dark side, and it takes a lot more effort to be a part of the light side and to resist those temptations that they have. So yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm. I think that they know that, and they address that in the novel about as far as saying that, yeah, it's easy to go to the dark side, and you got to basically work to be a light on the light side. And of course, being on the dark side has its own kind of benefits, And so it's more tempting to know that you can do things like battle meditation, because battle meditation isn't necessarily a feat of the light side. And so,
it wasn't a feat of the light side because the light side didn't believe in mass war. They didn't. They believed that if war could be stopped at any cost, it would be stopped.
Right.
Which is why they were involved with a lot of the times before they were ever involved with the Galactic Senate, they would be mediators in between.
Well, think about it. It can be like a Gandhi aspect because.
Well, no, that's exactly what they were going for. Is they're trying to be Gandhi in a sense, and they want to keep peace with all worlds in the entire universe. No war. If war could be, avoided, they were going to avoid it at all costs. Right, and that's a lot of the reason gray Jedi exist.
Right.
These are going to be Jedi that didn't necessarily agree with the Jedi teachings and the temples themselves and what they teach. These are people who, Qui-Gon Jinn is a very, very big example.
Perfect one.
He's one of the Grand Masters of the Jedi Order who did not believe that the Jedi Order was correct. He believed that in order for there to be peace, sometimes violence is necessary.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen the 10-minute cartoons of the Clone Wars that actually came out between episode 2 and 3. But they're little 10-minute clips. They came out on Cartoon Network. They're really cool if you can look them up. But the whole point of those was for you to get to know the Jedi that Sidious kills in episode 3. So you get to see each one of their force powers, how powerful they were. That way, so you understood just how powerful Sidious was when he started cutting down Jedi left and right in that throne room. Mm-hmm. Those weren't some hacks that he was fucking up. Those were masters of their craft.
Right.
Yeah.
All at once.
All at once, and this is why I have to agree with SDs on this. Is the rule of two that Bane enforced wasn't necessarily, it was a positive and a negative for the Sith Empire. A lot of the reason he did it is during his time when Bane came into existence, he wanted to reform the Sith Empire. At that time, he wasn't a ruler of any kind. He was more or less a general, if you will. Right, and the Sith at that time had their own council, and they had their Sith Lord who ruled over them. Bane rebelled against them and started his own campaign, and he essentially, with his own campaign, completed what that Sith Empire could not in their war against the Jedi. And I believe it was called not the Thought Bomb, but actually no, I think it was called the Thought Bomb. It was a force technique, a very, very ancient force technique that required several individuals to set up this formation with their own force power, and it was initiated by Bane, and it completely annihilated an entire, I guess you could say, battlefield, but it destroyed everyone. Also in the same aspect of the Sith Lord Master of the, I guess you can say, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic MMORPG. That particular Sith Master, with the books that are rounded about on that one, has the ability to pull the Force and Life Force out from entire planets.
Yep.
And leave it, the Sith Emperor, leave it devoid of any Force.
Yes.
So it doesn't exist at all.
And
but it's there. I mean, physically it's there. It has no life on it. You can breathe on it. You can go inhabit it if you want. But it's kind of devoid of emotion, Force, and it's the dull world.
Yeah.
And
it's even in aspect, if you read the book Revan, it's even kind of like dull of color.
Yeah.
You know, if you was to go to say, just let's say Dantooine, go to there, it's gonna be vibrant. It's gonna feel life. You're gonna be like, oh well, this is great. And you go to the Emperor's homeworld, which he kind of
No, it's not his homeworld. It's a world where he tested his power on. I just don't remember the name of it. They actually don't know the name. It's a world they don't know because it seeks to exist 1,000 years ago, and this is how old the Sith Emperor is.
Right. Well, I thought it was his homeworld because
it might have been his homeworld, but they don't know who he is and where he's from.
Right. But he ended up obviously finding the craft to be able to take the whole entire energy, the whole entire force of a whole entire planet, all life on it, and just zap it into himself. And he did it. And he left, quote unquote, the void in that planet as empty in the Force.
Right, and so that's kind of what I'm getting at from my earlier topic. I know I kind of tangent off a lot right now, but going all the way back with Anakin being as strong as he is, going against the All-Father and the daughter and the brother, the son of the Force and everything like that. It really does fall in chain with all that. Like the Force by itself is a powerful weapon, and it's also a powerful deterrent. And the training they did for the Jedi and the Sith, being as they were very different from each other. And then you have the Grey Jedi who learned from either or learned from both. Because most might not agree with my theory, but Revan, in my theory, would be a Grey Jedi.
Oh, he is, definitely.
A lot of the reason I believe that is because he was a Jedi and he had defected to the Sith, not of his own free will.
Right, manipulation.
But, yes, it was manipulation, and he was a Sith along with Malik, and they terrorized the Jedi Order altogether. And then afterwards, Malik stayed with the Sith, whereas Revan was reformed with the Jedi Council intervening and clearing his mind again.
Right.
And so Revan maintained a lot of his Force abilities that he got from both Jedi and Sith, and that's why he went on that lone mission, if you will, back to the Sith Emperor.
Right.
And
where he did come across the nice Alakite of Scourge.
Yeah, Darth Scourge.
That motherfucker, even though Scourge did betray him at the end, it was for a purpose. I really wish that there was a continuation of the book. I
believe there is, but I think it's in comics. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to check that out. But, so, I mean, I want to get everyone's personal take here at the table on what they feel on Star Wars. What their own personal view on what they would like to see. Okay, so let me dumb that down. let me explain that, guys.
There's some explaining to do.
There's some explaining to do. I'd like to get everyone here at the table their own personal view on Star Wars and what they would like to see with the Star Wars universe in the future. Who wants to go first? Caleb?
Well, I'm not a huge Star Wars person. I've seen all of the movies. It's just it's been so long since I've seen any of the older ones that I just don't remember a ton of it. But working off of some of the theories that I've read about recently, there's one theory that I really hope they don't do because I would honestly find it disappointing. And then I got another one that I kind of wish they would do, and I don't know how big Star Wars buffs would actually feel about that. But there's the one theory that there is a third Skywalker sibling. That's the one I hope they don't do. I feel like that's lazy. I feel like it's already done.
It kind of does feel like lazy.
Convenient plot point about a convenient plot point.
Right.
But the other one, where it's not necessarily considered canon, but the Death Star being created to protect from a later invasion, I think that'd be cool.
That'd be really cool.
Where they're specifically, and I have no idea how to actually pronounce this, Yuuzhan Vong War?
Yeah, the Yuuzhan Vong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about could possibly be, is that this was not technically canon, but they could throw this in later on, and this be why they created the whole council and everything is to protect from this, and Palpatine is the only one that sees it coming. And it's not necessarily good, but it's pragmatic.
That would be cool, especially since we've only seen, we have the Jedi and then we have the Sith.
Black and white.
Yeah,
I'd like it to be more gray.
I would like to see another enemy that maybe would unite them or, bring that gray area out more, definitely.
Out of the Star Wars series, it's going to be a little bit weird, but I really appreciate the fact that they kind of bring back old characters in CGI. I know there's some kind of ethics issue with it, with a lot of bringing some people back to life, like Peter Cushing. But I thought they did a really good job with that to kind of help tie in some characters from the older movies into the new ones, and especially if they're kind of visiting the past and they're playable characters. Rather than replace the character, they just CGI a person over them. I really like the fact. I don't know why. I appreciate it. I thought it was kind of eerie because the man's been dead for decades. But at the same time, I thought it was kind of cool to kind of resurrect an actor and then make them relevant in the film that they were relevant in the first place, instead of bringing in a new actor that looks totally different. I like to see Star Wars do that type of thing and spend some money to kind of to bolster that and to tie in the different worlds instead of confusing everybody. It's really an aesthetic kind of thing. I thought it was kind of cool, but in general, I think from what I would want from the Star Wars universe is I like to see the outside stories that tie into the main story. I actually do. They could. The universe is so large that they can do this pretty much forever, and I for one actually enjoy that type of thing, and I hope to see more of it, to be as generic as possible.
We were talking about the Star Wars The Force powers earlier, and that got me thinking that I would really want to see a lot more brought out with that. Like Luke, for instance, is so powerful with the Force, he could pull starships out of the sky. Like, I want more of that. I want less lightsaber. We got a hint of that when Kylo Ren stopped that blaster bolt in midair, and he froze that, and then he carried on his conversation, and then he let it go a few seconds later. But, you know, I really want to see more emphasis on the Force. I think that would be really cool.
That would be great.
I would love to see more emphasis on the Force abilities and how they could, like, how Force wielders, people who are Force aptitude, could wield the Force on that degree.
And then to my point, and you guys can answer this, have they ever kind of demonstrated how the battle meditation works as far as coordinating star fleets and things like that throughout any series that you've ever seen?
Not... So they have hinted towards it in the Clone Wars. In one of the movies they have, where Dooku has Palpatine tied up to a chair pretty much, in that space war there, or space battle, if you will. Dooku was doing battle meditation to assist in that battle there, but they've never actually showcased battle meditation. So, to give you a picture of what battle meditation is supposed to look like, basically, battle meditation is one who sit down, they sit down or sit in a chair or anything like that, and they meditate.
Chamber in their ship for the most part.
Yeah, and they meditate, they close their eyes, and they almost envision, if you will, the entire battlefield. And they coordinate from there what needs to be done.
Right.
I totally agree with his point, is the fact that they don't... They speak on the Force, and it's a very vague type of power. But to see its limits and to see its potential on what people can use it for is not really emphasized in any Star Wars that I've seen. You can do certain things. Yeah, they can block they can block lasers, and they can do all this other stuff with it. But yeah, to that
Shoot
point,
lightning.
as far as pulling starships out of the sky and things like that, I want to see its immense power.
Well, think about it. With Dooku, quote unquote, doing his own form of or method of battle meditation. He's commanding a very large amount of droids. Droids are not, in tune to the Force as a flesh and blood person.
Right. Someone who has more a link to the Force itself.
Right. Yeah. Of course, there's droids out there that will have a link to the Force.
K2SO.
Right. And, of course, the assassin droid, I can't remember his name, K-47 or some shit like that. But yeah, so droids are just fucking machines. Of course, with that, it's like they're not really necessarily connected to, say, the Force. So Dooku trying to use battle meditation, yeah, he's able to coordinate with, say, the flesh and blood, Geonosians that are on the ground that are helping coordinate the droids, but that's only to a certain aspect where you have your sergeants, your lieutenants, your generals,
Right. So I actually want to backtrack there. For the Geonosians, those who don't know, those are those...
winged dudes.
They're the insects.
Right.
They're those insect humanoids who have, I guess you could say, a mother insect, and they are drones. So for Dooku to communicate with them, it was actually substantially easier because he only needed... It's a
hive mind.
Exactly. It's a hive mind. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. He only needed to communicate with those in charge, and the rest would do the work. That's it.
Right.
And I don't know, I felt like in the third episode, or the second episode, I'm sorry, I felt like that battle should have been...
more immense.
Not more immense. It was pretty damn big, but I felt like it should have been showcased more. It should have been shown more. Like the Clone Wars showed more into that than the actual movie.
Yes.
And I feel like the movie should have showcased that one a lot more.
Well, look at it. You're going on to a Sith stronghold. You know, this is the Trade Federation that's controlled by the Sith at the time. You know, they're sitting there amassing a fucking droid army. They're sitting there using the Geonosians to fabricate this fucking war machine, and even that's where they founded the fucking plans for the premature Death Star. You know, it looked generic. It had fucking little, you know, satellite things sticking out, little antennas and shit. It wasn't completely round.
Oh, the little mini Death Stars. Is that what you're talking about?
Right.
Right.
And
Those are actually. I don't.
well, not the ones that were lifting off on the planet. The ones that the whole.
Oh, the premature plans for the Death Star. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So on Geonosis, that's where they found the Trade Federation plans for the Death Star. That's what Sidious was looking for. You know.
Right.
And he can't necessarily go wholeheartedly out and be like, well, I want this because I'm you know, Darth Sidious. No, he had to go there as Palpatine, as the Clone Force, and like, well, you know, I'm tired of your oppressive ways, and the Republic is going to eliminate you. And
So for those who don't know what Brandon's doing right now, he's waving his hands in a quotation air, like throwing quotations in the air right there.
exactly. So,
Brandon.
in your face. 5 o'clock shadow. Oh, Andrew ass. Oh, sounds like
We'll talk
sandpaper.
about my.
Damn, that sounded like rough ass sand. Do that in the mic.
You do that with your beard in the
I
mic.
can't because it's not gonna sound. It's gonna
That's
sound like
like
sandpaper. Well, you're. There you go. That sounds like.
That's what my
rough-ass
balls sound
sandpaper.
like.
Why do your balls shave like? Why do your balls have a 5 o'clock shadow?
Because
What do you mean
5 o'clock.
because it's 5 o'clock and that's why they have a shadow?
it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
That's why girls get face rashes around
The Bruce Willis wound.
you. Yeah.
But yeah, with the whole fucking
That's why they call it a sideburn.
I'll give you a sideburn.
No,
You want to lose that O-ring once again?
no.
I'll show you the Sarlacc pit.
No.
There's going to be a beautiful day where we don't bring up Gunner's house.
Face hugger
I'm
style.
not going to say say shit during the whole thing,
I'm gonna love that day.
but afterwards I'm going to be like, "That was a beautiful day," and no one talked about his ass.
Well, I guess.
You know what? I'm gonna go out and live here. Hold on, Brandon.
Right.
I'm gonna throw this out. I have a beautiful ass.
Do you?
To me, I have a beautiful ass.
Is it the golden one?
I swear to God, you guys make my shit look worse than the Skywalker fucking tragedy.
Oh,
I swear.
it looks like Freddy Krueger.
You've painted my ass to look like a Freddy Krueger butt cheek having ass with a Sarlacc just coming out, grabbing things.
Usawanga.
Don't Jabba the Hutt this shit up.
Misa gonna eat you.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
Oh, perfect timing. Oh,
Brandon and Andrew did that, right? Yeah. Misa gonna eat you.
Misa gonna
I
eat you,
fucking hate you.
wiggy.
Oy vey.
Can I please just have one more piece of your liquor in there in your refrigerator, in your beer cooler? I don't keep food in my fridge regularly. It's just
He
alcohol.
keeps hookers and blow.
I don't. Well, the hookers are in the freezer. You
Really
got.
seals in the flavor.
I like how Kayla opened her freezers. Like, there better not be a fucking hooker in here.
I got.
She's like, I found a leg. What is this shit doing in here,
The
Andrew?
whole leg and thigh.
Well, you got to put your prostitutes into pots. And so what you do is you dismember your prostitute.
God damn.
And so if you got a foot fetish, you just grab a foot out of the freezer.
A foot long.
And you don't got to grab the whole prostitute. And so if you got like a nose fetish, you just pull a nose out of the crisper.
What kind of answer?
What kind of pants are those?
Hold on, I'm taking notes.
Nose in the crisper.
That's what they do. It kind of gets soggy after like 3 weeks.
Is it like Matthew McConaughey?
It's not like Matthew McConaughey, except the curly hairs.
What about George
on the
Clooney?
nose. Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
The one guy that played in Oceans.
No, I know who the fucking actor is. I
Oi.
just don't get your reference to prostitutes and George Clooney. I seen Ocean's 14 before it came out.
Did you see Ocean's 50?
I seen Ocean's 50, and that's too many fucking people to rob a place.
That's a lot of fucking ocean.
There's a lot of fucking ocean, and there's too many people. There's too many hands in the pot. You can't rob the fucking bank with 50 fucking people, because 25 of them are gonna fuck up the plans and get caught, and then snitch on the other 25.
So what we're trying to say is we really like Star Wars.
Yes.
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 I watch Star Wars, and I don't like robots fighting on different planets.
What the fuck is up with this?
They need to be here fixing our cars.
So I feel like Rogue One was a Star Wars version of Ocean's 11.
It could
Why?
be.
Because
Think
they
about
robbed the
it.
Death Star plans.
All right, I can see that.
Ah, that's a good point.
There we go. Yeah.
Minus the extensive planning of how to rob.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was all off the whim and shit.
So like we're just gonna go in there, fuck shit up, Step Brother style. We came here to fuck shit
Just
up.
off the cuff. Hopefully we don't die.
Yeah, you just
Oh
can't.
shit, we all died.
You can't hide millions of dollars in an R2D2.
Yeah, you can. It's called a bank card.
Ha! Digital style.
It's called a fucking bank card, damn it.
You don't put your money in a bank when you rob a bank.
It's called 00110011.
What's the binary code for robot bad breath?
No.
I
don't know binary code off the top of my head.
If a robot speaks, how do you program bad breath in it?
Just, oh, damn.
Oh damn.
If I can buy a programmer, I'm gonna have him program, oh, damn.
Oh, there was
I'm
about
gonna
to
go right now.
What was just happening?
well, there was about to be some button pushing
Well,
action
it
by
started off
Oliver
like
and
this, and then
Gunner.
it went like that.
A
And
deal was made, okay? A deal was made.
Yes.
It's been a while for me. I have to go now.
it's cocaine time.
Yes, it's
Cocaine time.
competing for
It's a
cigarette.
beard ride.
It's blowing holes right now. Blowing holes.
Blowing holes. Oh.
My particular favorite character was Jabba.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate Jabba. He held it down. And he's a giant slug, and he has an assistant. Now, how do you apply for Jabba's job? I want a Jabba job, and I want to start. I went on Monster.com and I found Jabba Jab. And they had 10 interview questions. Is one of them, are you grossed out by particular things that should be in a shell? There should be a Jabba snail shell. But I think Jabba is a hermit crab, and he got lost. And he found his way into the bay.
That's what he sleeps in every night.
He's a good Jabba. Have you ever seen Jabba use the restroom? Because I seen the blueprints of the bar he was working at, or wherever that place was. And there's no hallway that Jabba can access to go in any restroom. So I'm wondering if he just takes a shit right there. That's why Boba Fett has the mask. That's not a freaking protection.
It protects him from the smell.
Oh,
It's
damn
a
it.
closely sealed vacuum suit. Because if you can imagine Jabba's breath during the interview, if you were in this situation, and this is Jabba, by the way, I can't do a good Jabba because but if you sat in the interview and he said, if you were in this situation where you had to travel to the Dagobah system, and you only had a half hour because your boss needed a report done by 5, how would you handle that situation? And I think the interview is just dead at that point because there's too many H words. How would you handle that situation? And then you just pass out. So I think Jabba went through a lot of interviews. And it was really difficult for him. And so I feel bad for Jabba. Because I think he had a really hard time. And he thought people probably didn't like him. And Solo didn't like him.
Oh. It's because of his thyroid, right?
What?
His thyroid.
Thyroid problems?
Yeah.
I don't even think he has the thyroid. It's just the upper half and just slime. And I think it's just mucous membrane, the rest of his body. It's just brain and mucus.
Oh, I'll give you some mucus.
Oh, thank you, Jimmy.
You're welcome. You're quite welcome. It's a sad trilogy.
Jabba was only in one movie.
Because
Two movies.
he has health problems.
He was in episode 1. He was also in episode 4 and episode 6.
Get the fuck out of here, for real?
Yeah, but yes.
I don't remember him in 6.
Yes. Return of the Jedi.
Don't
Jabba's palace. The yacht. Jabba's yacht.
Apparently, he didn't like
Shame.
Leia in her slave outfit.
I didn't. What? I didn't.
Just
You didn't
put my
like
foot
it?
down
No.
right there.
What the fuck are you gonna wear metal on your tits for? First of all. Second of all,
In the
take that
desert.
metal thong off. God damn it.
You need tit armor.
No.
Star Wars.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
Yes, you
Yeah,
do.
in the middle
You
of
gotta
the
protect them
nipples.
nipples. Yes, you do. You need tit armor.
You gotta
No.
protect them nipples.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Besides, it's not like she picked that outfit. Like,
Right.
Jabba had a closet.
Oh, obviously
Oh,
she didn't
pick
pick that
from
outfit. Did you see her face wearing that shit? She's like, God damn it.
Yeah, I think
Her face wearing that outfit was, I can't believe I'm wearing this in front of my boy crush.
She got that from Helen Diamond.
I wonder how Jabba got off on that.
Mucus all over the place.
Oh.
Jimmy said it all.
Snail trail.
Snail trail. She did the snail trail, or Jabba did the snail trail?
Jabba did the snail
Volcano
trail.
Los does.
Oh, shit.
Oh, fuck.
Gosh damn it.
Now I have a different
Damn
view of
it,
Jabba
Jimmy.
now.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Yeah. That's
Why Jabba licked his lips. He's like, damn.
Misa gonna eat you
Yeah.
more than one way.
Oh, shit, Brandon.
And I bet you there's somewhere on the internet, in its wide world of crazy things, there's some kind of like cartoon porn with Jabba in it.
I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure that is.
Probably, yeah.
I feel like, yeah.
Kayla, hold on.
guess
I gotta
so.
ask you, what did you think of Leia's outfit?
Huh.
I liked it.
Did you?
Yes.
Am I the only one here at this table that did not find that even one bit remotely appealing?
I thought she was hot.
Yeah.
She was
only
practically wearing nothing.
That's the only part I like, is that I could see a lot of her, and then the fucking brass.
I'll give you some brass.
You are
Oh.
a dad. You're getting angry at how the women are outfitted.
No, I
Yeah, you are.
just think
That's a guy with
I
three
just think
women-
lacy
three girls.
material would have been better. I'm just saying, I don't prefer metal. Like if I'm gonna rub your
So
tits before I
space
actually
lace.
grab a boob, I'd like to know that I'm grabbing something closely to your flesh, not just ding. Oh shit, my bad. My nail touched your metal.
Oh.
That's why you take it off.
It keeps the mystery, okay? Is it a C cup?
You don't keep it
Is
on.
it a B cup? I don't know. Hold on.
You can
Oh.
tell. You can tell.
Right.
You just
No,
look at
but
them. If the
they're gonna be
cleavage is
okay.
fucking
You
deep.
know Carrie
take a
Fisher's
shot
old
at you.
enough to be your grandmother.
Ah.
Oh shit.
Well, not anymore, but
She's dead.
I did.
So, anyways, something that I'm looking for, would like to see in Star Wars. I'm a big fan of origin stories.
Right.
And every quote unquote beginning of Star Wars that we've seen so far, started with Episode 4, it's still like in the middle of this war.
Yeah.
So it's not really the beginning. And then we go through the prequel, Episode 1, again, still not the beginning. So I would like to see something just starting from the beginning. Like Gunnar was saying, where they're actually using swords of this material that can actually deflect lightsabers. I would like to see.
So they were using vibro steel, I believe is what it's called,
That's
in the
what I
original,
said,
the
vibro
very
steel.
first Jedi. But I'm saying some special cases used a different material that
Right.
could deflect it, but it was very, 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 very rare.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to go back to the beginning, like where it all began and evolved into what we now know as Star Wars.
That would be magnificent.
Oh, that's what you're thinking
Yes.
of. Because, Palpatine or Sidious and Plagueis, when that planet that they were scoping out that I was talking about earlier, they were actually looking for more of that material to use against the Jedi. And that's something that's like not in the movies very well. Is actually pretty much the whole galaxy was actually kind of sick of the Jedi shit.
Right.
Was they were getting tired of how cocky they were. and how much they impose themselves on everybody.
Right. It was the concept of well, you have the Templars going around, and we're good and everything, but no, we're tired of you. We're done with the whole order. We want you gone, and there you go. But what I would like to see in the Star Wars universe myself is more backstories for certain characters. You know, underlying characters that
Song Steel.
Throughout.
I'm sorry.
Song Steel.
What?
There's a list of lightsaber resistant
Metals.
materials. There's amphistas,
Cortosis, there it is.
there's more. Felucian, Skullblade, Mandalorian Iron, Uranium.
Mandalorian iron is resistant, but not completely. It can still get damaged. Whereas cortosis is a very, very, very rare material that is completely resistant. I mean, it will nullify a lightsaber's blade completely. Like a blade will go through it, and so you can have a 3-foot long lightsaber blade if you wanted to, and you could be inches away from cutting through this metal. It will literally nullify the blade to about an inch's worth of what it is, because it will. It's like reflecting the light itself in the saber back into the saber.
Well, there's more. There's Orbalisk, Frick,
I have heard of Frick.
Song Steel, Ultra Chrome.
But yeah, with what I'd like to see in Star Wars is a lot of backstories. You know, of course, like to see more about backstory of Lando. Like to see more backstory of Bubba.
Lando Calrissian?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I can give a shit less about him.
Yeah, still, but you know, how did him and Han Solo meet? Why is he always sitting there saying, "Well, that's my ship"? No, that's Han Solo's ship.
Okay.
I can see that
I
featured
can see
in
that.
a different
Yeah.
perspective. Movie focused on a different perspective, including them.
I'm sure
I
they'll
can't see
cover that in the
yeah.
Young Han Solo movie, like how
Yeah.
like he
Yeah.
won the card. Was it Game Cards?
Yeah, it was
like that?
it was a game of cards, and of course, Chewbacca. This guy, he's going back from the fucking Clone Wars with Yoda and shit. You know, this guy's been around for a while. What's his backstory? Why is he the Baka? You know, of the Wookiee clan. You know, of the Wookiees. You know, because if you play back into Knights of the Old Republic, of course they have their you know, I guess the Baka. You know, the whole thing of their higher guy. You know, Chewie happens to be the guy. You know, what's his backstory? Let's find out. Let's find out a lot of different backstories of a lot of different characters. Hell, you know, let's even go back to Episode 1. What's up with Qui-Gon Jinn?
Oh gosh.
You know, what's up with Qui-Gon Jinn? What's up with Darth Maul? You know, what's their backstories? It would be great to have so many different tie-ins.
Well,
just
I mean,
just with that.
Darth Maul's story was kind of so we got to see a start to his story, we got to see the middle to his story, and we got to see the end to his story in pieces, one through the actual movie series, and then the rest kind of done through the Clone Wars animated series. So we even got to see his brother Savage,
Right.
through the series. So I mean, he kind of got his origin and his story told. But I mean, I know there's going to be a lot of things we wish to see with the Star Wars series. So before we wrap this all up together in a bundle and package this off somewhere and let some unknown suspector or whoever stumble upon this podcast, I would like to ask everyone what they predict the next movie will be as a final question, because we know there's going to be another movie.
Oh.
We want to know what that movie will be about. So let's start with, I guess, Brandon, since you got your hand up like Hermione, and
Why? Thank you.
go for it.
So what I think the next episode, with episode 8, of course, it's going to lead into Luke training Rey, also training Finn, because Finn's also force sensitive. If you obviously kind of can pay attention
They
to
need to
that.
train that one Star Trooper that was wielding that baton.
Right.
They need to train that guy.
Yeah, they do. But you're going to see some training that's going to go on because obviously Luke was making his own academy for the Jedis and, fucked up with Kylo Ren. We know that story now because Kylo Ren's the bad guy, of the results. But I think that we're going to see a lot more of the story that is going to be involved with Finn, with Rey, with Luke, with similar cast. Of course, you're going to have Chewbacca in there. He's still going to be around. He might even die in fucking episode 8, because they like killing off characters now. But we're gonna see quite a bit of Snoke. We're gonna see quite a bit of Snoke. We're gonna see quite
Snooky.
Snooky.
Did anybody else get that feeling?
Exactly what I got.
Although she really wouldn't be a bad Sith Lord, but
She's gonna take you down to the Snooky Snook.
the snoo.
The snoo. But I kind of feel that it's going to lead in that kind of way. You're going to see, of course, the emotional bullshit. The romantic leads bullshit with Finn and Rey. That's going to happen. But you're going to see quite a I can't say unsuspected twist because it's going to be expected. It's undecided. But I expect to see those aspects.
Killer, what do you think the next movie is going to be?
I don't really know. I think they're going to stick with the theme of killing about a bunch of people. I really do. I don't know if Kylo Ren's going to really stick around very long. I think he's going to end up being weak, and I think he's going to die.
Not yet, though. I don't think not in episode 8.
Maybe.
They've hinted at him being weak.
Yeah.
He is
several times.
Extremely weak.
That scene
especially for his position.
Right.
I think he's going to get killed, and I think it's going to happen soon.
It's gonna be a life or death situation where he'll come out, but he won't die. He'll come to realization that he is a weak son of a bitch, and then he'll probably waken up and be like, well, maybe I need to actually stop being a little bitch and stop throwing temper tantrums and destroying the computer console and maybe train in the Force.
Well, they hinted at in a couple of scenes, like at least where she basically grabs the saber when he's reaching for the saber and he's trying, and she grabs it after him. As far as
Most
showing
of
that
the
power.
force that he's used against weak people.
Yeah,
and has
Even before
barely
that,
done
like when
it.
he was probing her mind with his, like she got into his head.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
I
one of the
think-
fan theories is that he's not really skilled in the Force.
I think
that's the thing
that's,
that they try to
uh,
let off. Is that
so-
he is what he's not.
I want to go off of something that was explained earlier. It may be that in that particular aspect of the Force, he's kind of weak, but overall, he's actually incredibly strong. First off, saber-wise, he's pretty proficient. He's not extremely trained in saber dueling, because neither was Luke.
Yeah.
Luke wasn't trained in saber dueling, and so Kylo Ren has to get his training elsewhere. So he kind of learned on his own, just like Luke did.
Well, I think that also there's a thing in a way of he has a complex.
Oh, he does have a superiority complex. That is true because it was told with the Knights of Ren.
Because he's the grandson of Darth Vader.
Exactly, and not only that, you got to remember this man stopped a blaster bolt in mid
Midair.
fucking air.
Yeah.
So maybe his mind techniques, Jedi mind tricks, are
Substantial.
substantially weak. But manipulating the Force on physical objects, he could be comparable to Yoda.
Well, I don't even think it's just that his force abilities with his mind are weak. I think he just has a weak mind.
That
Could
could be
be.
true too. That could be
Because
true.
the smallest thing will set him off, like a kid that dropped his sweets on the ground, just crying about it and
Right.
breaking everything because he just dropped his ice cream. It's
Right.
like
Yeah.
If
And-
he, sorry,
No, go ahead.
I think if he doesn't die, he's going to be a weaselly little bastard.
Well,
Yes.
he kind of already.
He kind of already
He
is.
is, but I think it's gonna become more extreme. To the point where I think he'd even fuck over his own side to try to just live.
Oh, that's going to happen.
Oh, I believe that. Estes, what do you think? What do you think the next movie is going to be about?
I think we're going to get into a lot more Kylo Ren. I really want to see what Maz is all about, the little yellow Yoda creature moving forward. But there's a couple theories that I'm in favor of as far as like Kylo Ren. Either he's not going to be as bad as we all think he is, he's going to come to the light side, and that like comes from more classic storytelling. Like the reason why you never saw Darth Vader's face until the very last movie wasn't until he turned good, where you got to see the evil guy's face, so to speak. There was never that reveal. So in this movie, seeing Kylo's face right off the bat, you know, tells us that there's nothing to hide, that there's a person under there that we're going to get to see something more. Also, his relationship and why he knows who Rey is. So we get to see that. We get to see. I personally think I'm leaning more towards that he's trying to protect her. I think there's a couple of points where he goes out of his way to. Like when he was trying to essentially tell her to join him. At this point, since she's out, since Snoke knows she exists, he's like, "No, come with me. Like, I'll help protect you. I'll help get you through all of this." But yeah, I think it's going to be. You're going to see some new plot twists.
Okay. Yeah, and I think they're going to reveal why she was on Jakku, and the fact that they were trying to hide her from Snoke. Because he was basically saying, you know, bring her to me, and they're wondering why she's on that desolate planet, why she was on Jakku to begin with, and I think one of the fan theories, and correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not looking at it directly, but the fact that Luke Skywalker started the Academy, if I'm not mistaken, he started the Academy and he knew about her and he wanted to train a particular Jedi in order to help with the training, and he realizes that she's out there and that he wanted to protect her from Snoke because he was basically having Jedis not Jedis, but he was turning his Force evil for the most part.
Mm-mm.
No, he was not turning his people evil.
Nope. The reason Luke kind of went into exilation was he failed with his nephew, which is Kylo.
No, not Luke. He moved Rey into Jakku because he did not want Snoke
as for Rey's origin, I have no idea.
No, yeah.
Kylo's was explained he was trained by Luke to be a Jedi because he showed substantial aptitude in the Force and whatnot, and Kylo was given responsibility and he reveled in his power is what it was, and Luke kind of reprimanded him for that, and so Kylo killed every one of the Knights of Ren and joined the dark side when he found out there was an out for that.
Right. Okay.
Well, they didn't actually explain why he started killing everyone. Just said that he kind of went crazy. But I think part of it might have been that Luke, like going off of what Andrew was saying, that he saw a lot of potential in Rey, and like Kylo was like at some point boasting that he's the best. He's like, no, like I did this to train her, and so he got that complex. And again, a kid throwing a little fit, just had a tantrum, just killed everyone because he thought he was the best, but he really wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
That might actually fit. I like that. Okay, so Thomas, since you're going, what do you think the next movie is going to be off for Star Wars?
Yes.
What do you think the basis of that's going to be?
We're talking about like the next one released or for Episode 8?
Episode 8.
Episode 8, I think they're probably going to do a brief explanation of who Rey's parents are. And just because there are key characters that know who she is, even though she may not, or she's hiding who she is. But I think honestly, I think most of the movie is just going to be Kylo Ren throwing a little bitch fit.
Right.
Because that's what he did in the last one.
Yeah.
And towards the end, he's going to start hopefully maturing up and sack up and do what's right.
Grab your sack and suck up, boy.
Hell and diamonds.
One thing the fans kind of pointed out, which was a little strange, I'm just going to throw it out there just based on what I read, was the fact that she's not Luke's daughter because simply there's a few variables what they're saying, but one of the things they pointed out was the fact that she had a British accent, and Luke does not. And they say it was intentional because the actor that played, what's that guy? One of the main characters in there that was a former Star Trooper.
Finn,
yes. The fact that he had a British accent. They both have British accents. They're both British actors. And they intentionally made her have an English or a British accent and him go to English. And the fact that they seemed like it ties in because Palpatine has a British accent. And that's not the only reason. There's a bunch of different pieces in there. But the fact that they kind of called out that he couldn't have been raised by Luke Skywalker because of the fact that he doesn't have a British accent. She does, and so does Palpatine. And the fact that she exhibits a lot of his fighting style, the fact that there's other tie-ins that link her to Palpatine in a certain way. I'm interested to see how that plays out. It could be incredibly wrong, but I want to see how that kind of plays out.
I just want to put this to rest. Just because he doesn't have a British accent doesn't mean the person he had sex with to create her didn't.
Well, that's not the point. But
And
the fact that
an
how
accent-
it ties into the movie, you have to see the video.
Well, an accent isn't necessarily hereditary.
Remember, I also said this is one of many other things that kind of link it together.
Right? No,
So
no,
it's
no. I
not
get that. I'm
quite
just,
definitive.
I'm going to debunk this real quick. I mean, I can totally agree with the inherent saber style, saber fighting, and everything being from Palpatine or AKA Sidious, Darth Sidious. I can see that. That'd be great, actually, as a plot twist, because that would be wonderful. As for reasoning or logic behind that, no, not accent. That's not hereditary. That's something learned. So, sorry, but I'm going to debunk that.
We'll see how it plays out.
Well,
we'll see how it plays out.
An accent can come from just being around the culture. You
Well, that's
can-
what I'm saying. It's
right.
something learned. It's not something hereditary.
Right.
It's not something you're
But
born
I think
with.
that Star Wars in the script did that for a particular purpose.
It
is
could-
my
it
point.
possibly.
I'm not
Possibly.
saying how
Well,
it actually works out in real life.
It could very well be, but with the area that Rey is at, the people that she grew up around could have, say, that said accent, British accent or whatever. Now, right. So with Finn, he could have came from a similar tribe that obviously the Empire or former Empire's shell of it came across that same tribe or same type of people that have that same accent.
We'll see.
Possible.
We'll see.
Possible. I mean, I want to ask everyone that's listening to us now, give us your ideas of what the next movie could be. Give us your view on where you would like to see the Star Wars universe go. What your personal favorites are with the Star Wars universe. If you're not a huge Star Wars nerd, but you love the series, let us know what you love. Aside from that, we're going to be signing off now. My name is Gunnar. Thank you for listening to Plastic Beer.
And I'm Thomas.
Thanks for having me. I'm Esty.
I'm Kayla.
All right, bitches. This is Brandon. You have a good night.
This is Andrew.
Wiggy.
Good to be here.
And I want to give a special thanks to our special guest today, Estes. Thank you for having us, and thank you for being here for us.
SD, thank you very
Thanks
much.
so
Thank you for providing insight to our beer drinking ways.
And thanks everyone for joining Plastic Beer. You have a great night.